Hello, and welcome to HR Insights with Godswill AK. This is a space where we simplify HR concepts one insight at a time. Today we will begin a foundational series on Nigerian labor law, what it is, what it covers, and what every HR professional must know to stay compliant and strategic. When we say Nigerian labor law, some HR practitioners assume it's referring only to the Labor Act. That's a misconception. In reality, the term Nigerian labor law is a reference to all the legal instruments that help to define, interpret, and regulate labor and employment relationships in Nigeria. These include statutory laws, case laws, also known as judicial precedent, and even international labor organization conventions. By definition, statutory laws are written laws passed by a legislative body, such as a parliament or Congress at the federal or state level. They include the acts of the National Assembly and they form the legal framework for employment relationships. Some of the major statutes governing labor and employment relationships which every HR professional in Nigeria should be familiar with include the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Labor Act, the Trade Union Act, the Trade Dispute Act, the National Minimum Wage Act, the Pension Reform Act, the Employees Compensation Act, the Personal Income Tax Act, although we now have the Nigeria Tax Act of 2025, which is set to commence in January 2026, the Factory Act, the National Industrial Court Act, and more. Let's briefly examine this status. First, the Constitution. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria guarantees some fundamental rights, like the right of association, which underpins union membership and collective bargaining. The Constitution also addresses issues relating to the jurisdiction of the National Industrial Court of Nigeria and its powers to adjudicate over matters connected with labor and employment relationships, and the application or interpretation of international labor standards and international best practices. Others include the Labor Act, which is the principal employment legislation, although most of its provision may be said to apply mainly to the group of employees who are engaged in manual labor or clerical work, which gives you more or less junior staff. But it is always applied to all employees as a minimum benchmark, and it addresses issues such as contract of employment, wages, working hours, leave, and termination of employment. Then the Trade Union Act. It regulates the formation, registration, and operation of trade unions as well as their rights and obligations. The Trade Dispute Act provides a structured approach to resolving industrial disputes, including mediation, conciliation, arbitration, with escalations to the Industrial Arbitration Panel and the National Industrial Court. The Pension Reform Act governs the contributory pension scheme, which requires both employers and employees to fund the retirement savings account. It also requires employers to maintain a group life insurance policy in favor of all employees for a minimum of 3 times the total annual emolument of the employee. The National Minimum Wage Act sets the legal minimum wage employers must pay eligible employees in Nigeria. We also have the Employees Compensation Act, which provides compensation for injuries, diseases, disability, or death sustained by employees in the course of employment. The Personal Income Tax Act regulates the taxation of employees' income through the payee system managed via the payroll. But remember, we now have the Nigeria Tax Act of 2025, which will be effective from January 2026. I think we'll look at this later. The Factories Act specifies the health, safety, and welfare standard for employees working in factories and other industrial premises. The National Industrial Court Act established the National Industrial Court of Nigeria and defined its jurisdiction over all employment and labor-related cases. It is important to know that Nigeria adheres also to several ILO conventions, particularly those it has ratified. Additionally, the National Industrial Court of Nigeria is empowered to apply international labor standards and international best practices in its decision. These conventions and standards play a vital role in shaping labor rights, promoting equality, and advancing decent work. Collectively, all these laws form part of Nigeria's statutory legal framework. It provides solid foundation for employment relationships from hiring and employee management to union engagement, workplace safety, and retirement or termination. Beyond the statutory laws, Judicial decisions made by competent courts on labor and employment matters, especially the National Industrial Court of Nigeria and the Court of Appeal, form another crucial part of Nigeria's labor law. These court rulings help to interpret, clarify, and expand on what the law means in practical real-life situations. As HR professionals, we rely on both the statutes and judicial precedent to design fair, compliant, and defensible workplace policies and practices. At this point, it's important to ask, what must we do as HR? Well, number one, understand the laws. Try to familiarize yourself with the basic provisions of the relevant labor and employment laws that impact the work we do. Number two, stay updated on case law. Keep up with new judgment and legal interpretations as much as you can. Tools such as the National Industrial Court mobile app or the National Industrial Court website can be helpful. And number three, seek legal advice when needed. Wherever possible, recommend that your organization retain a labor lawyer or a labor expert or advisor for proper guidance, especially in complex or unclear situations. But note that without basic knowledge of the law, you may not even know what to ask or when to ask it. In subsequent episodes, we will explore the basic provisions of each of these laws. But for now, as we round up, here are summary points from this presentation for HR professionals in Nigeria. Number one, the Nigeria's labor law includes both our statutory laws, court judgment, and of course the ILO conventions. Number two, the Labor Act is just one part of a broader legal ecosystem. And number three, every HR professional must stay updated on both legislation and the evolving case law. So, thank you so much for watching. And remember, the labor law in Nigeria isn't just one act. It is a collection of statutes and legal decisions that shape how we hire, manage, and exit employees. I invite you to subscribe for more HR insights and feel free to share this with your network. I am Goswill AK, and I will see you in the next video.